Hey everyone, welcome again to the Performance Podcast. Today we have a very unique and interesting guest on our podcast, Miss Aarti Shankaran, who is a renowned cricket coach, level 3 BCCI, level 3 ICC. She is also a cricket commentator. She is an ex-player. She's been the captain for the Tamil Nadu cricket team. And interestingly, she is the founder of the first all-women cricket academy. So welcome, ma'am, and thank you so much for making the time to be on the podcast.
Absolute pleasure.
Yes. So, ma'am, before we go into actual questions that I have planned for you, can you talk a few minutes about what started you on this journey and how you're here?
Pure luck started me on this journey.
Okay.
I was not a cricketer until the age of 20.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah, so it's after that I took up the sport. And I took it up even more seriously after 22.
Okay.
So until then I started my degree and really didn't get too much going. So I said, okay, let me get out of class. And that's how this whole journey started for me. And then when I decided to pursue my higher education, I said, no, this is where my calling is. And I gave up all that and yeah.
Lovely. I mean, in an era where we're seeing kids getting competitive about cricket by 10 and, you know, their careers getting set by, like, right now 13, and we're seeing, say, 16, 17 is when, you know, it's done, and by 30 they call it off. Saying that you started cricket at 20, it's wow. How did that happen?
Different times, right?
Yes.
Cricket was not what it is today, and definitely not women's cricket.
Definitely.
So the fact is, when I started playing, as I said, I'm a chance cricketer. I'm not a formally trained cricketer either, and I think that was the advantage we had growing up in the early 2000s. 98, when I finished school and I got into college, is when I took it up. For the first year, I played just for the heck of it, because there was nobody making up the team. I didn't go for any selections, nothing.
Wow.
And then subsequently, a couple of my classmates, people who had come into the college because of cricket, said, we don't have too much going, can you just come? I said, okay. And then 3 years down the line, I'm the captain of the team.
Wow.
So.
Wow, that's just lovely. I mean, it's not everybody that has the calling for a sport like this, you know. It could have been different times, but whatever said and done, you had that skill set that made you the captain of the team. I mean, so that's just
If that's what you are saying, fine.
Of course.
I was just pure lucky.
There's a reason from there you've grown to being a sought after coach, to a sought after commentator. I mean, there's so much technicality and skill behind all of
If
that.
you hear the story behind it.
That's exactly what I want to hear. Please tell me.
No, I'm telling you, everything is a chance thing. I played, I stopped. The next path fell into my laps in terms of coaching as a education first. Level 1 I finished, and then I got into coaching. So because I did the level 1, I ended up becoming the coach. But then subsequently, whatever else has happened has been spin-offs, like the various TV series spin-offs. Mine is also a spin-off. The commentary bit came because people who knew me in the coaching said, I have enough potential to speak in front of a camera. So I said, okay, let's give that a shot. And then in 2022, when the NCA called for faculty, again I used the same advantage of me being able to communicate to see if I could try that. And quite honestly, I realized teaching is something I really passionately love doing, not just the sport to cricketers, but passing the knowledge on to other coaches, which is what my job is at the NCA, is something that I really love, because it means I'm able to influence through that one person 20 other children. So
That's beautiful.
that kind of cascading effect is what I think I'm doing.
That's actually a very interesting perspective to look at it. And, you know, teachers are the best kind of people that there can be. And can you tell me a little about how this whole journey of starting the first women-only academy happened? I mean, I've seen even your coaches, everyone are only women.
Yes, the truth is, that is how I started. I'm going to be very honest on your podcast and say, that's how I started, that's how I wanted to be. It is not that today, purely because it's a financial struggle. So the academy, which was entirely started as a baby of mine, is now gone to another person, but I'm still coaching. The best part is, almost 45 girls come. I don't think any academy of the size that I have can boast of that. I'm not talking about the bigger ones, but the academy my size, I can field 3 teams without a problem in a private tournament.
That's beautiful.
And the reason it started, however, was lack of place and safety for women kind of started it.
Makes sense.
And even now, I think that's a big question mark always around the safety aspect for women and young girls. So I take pride in the fact that I work with a lot of grassroots, young, not just skill wise, age wise. I have children from the age of 7 coming to me, although I recommend that they come more around 8. And I know that these girls can feel safe in my academy.
Absolutely.
Parents can leave their children. We have coaches who will take them, men and women both, but we are safe. That is something almost every parent yearns for nowadays.
Absolutely, especially in sport. I mean, we've heard so much. And from just stemming off of that, we see a lot of athletes, like right here when we're working on their rehab, when we're working on injury for them, we see a lot of athletes always concerned about the selection bias. How much more does that affect women?
See, selection affects women, full stop. Selection affects men, full stop. Let's not get the bias into it at all.
Makes
The reason is, if you are injured, when you do treat people, the physical injury heals.
Yes.
That is what you are very, very good at doing. What happens is they feel they lose a spot to somebody else, and to regain that spot is more than just a physical ability, test ability. Correct? It means that they have to, again, they feel like they have to start from scratch. It's a natural fear. It is there probably everywhere, not just in sport. It could be there in a corporate environment. It could be in the world of the jungle as well. If an animal misses out on a prey, they don't know how long you have to wait for the next one, right?
Absolutely.
It's typical challenge. But what happens with injury is a little bit more. It's one thing not being able to get a selection, but not able to do your best is a hurt of a different kind.
Absolutely. I mean, so talking about that hurt and coming from a multidisciplinary perspective, we know cricket is a mental game.
Yep.
So how much have you seen players being broken down or their careers getting spoiled just because they weren't in it mentally?
Before that, I think that reason that happened, that they were informed that there is that side to it as well.
Yes.
We are not a country which thinks that the mental side of the game is important. You push physically, you have to practice. 6 hours a day. If you don't bat 3 hours a day, how can you bat?
Makes sense.
Correct?
Yes.
So because we didn't know about it, we weren't able to see that as a reason for a player's inability to make it to the next level. So if somebody made it to the next level, the comment, oh, she's very capable, or he is very capable, very tough, mentally tough. So somebody who achieves is mentally tough, but what about the person who doesn't?
Exactly.
Why aren't we getting into that? That is because we do not have the information. I quite honestly think even now we don't have enough information. It is still very nascent, and I always keep saying, unless big players talk about it, you will never understand that this problem exists at every single level.
Makes sense. I mean, I feel like the dialogue around it has started a little bit, maybe on the international level, but still not as much, within the Indian circuit. We have seen a couple of players right now coming up and about it, but I think there's still a lot more. And what you just said about training for 6 hours, it's been predominantly around skill, and people haven't given that importance to fitness.
Again, it's a still work in progress thing, in my opinion. So, I agree to a point where a 6 or a 7-year-old child who comes in, when they come to play, the first thing that you have to take care of, are they having fun? All right? Once you've established that the fun bit is there, let us say even till about age of 10, you ensure that they're having a good time, they want to come. And then they seem to be picking it up because their body is now stronger, they've got their motor skills going, their neuromuscular skills working better. Next is, how do you get the concept of fitness? So today fitness means, including my times, the more you run, the better you are.
Correct.
Today what's happening? There are so many aspects to fitness. There is the strength aspect, there's the mobility aspect, there's the stability aspect,
Yes.
and then there is your flexibility, and then there's your speed, power. which is the one that you lack?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Or which is the one you need to train more? I wouldn't even say lack. Is an information again that is not available in plenty out in the open. It is available in pockets and for a price. The price is prohibitive
Yes.
for a lot of people. Cricket is a game played by millions.
In India, definitely.
All right, but how many of these millions have the financial potential to take help for physical fitness or mental fitness?
Makes sense.
So, prohibitive factors. There is no, it's a social taboo still. A lot of these factors are social taboo. So, which means you are not going to be able to get a government clinic or a dispensary talking to you about mental health.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it is essential, and I think even beyond sport.
That's what I'm saying. So, the access is so little, the information is little.
Makes
Now,
sense.
everybody knows where to go if you are unwell, physically unwell. It could be a big disease, it could be a small fever, it could be anything, because there is access, there is information, and you can see right in front of your eyes that there's a big hospital. How many psychiatric care clinics have a big poster?
They don't.
How many psychological clinics, psychologist clinics have a big poster? It's all still done in relative
Within
quietness.
that taboo, within
It's not
the,
a taboo. I think it's a quietness that is there around it. Taboo will break, but will the quietness break? I mean, you're bringing about ideas that I never thought existed in my own head, quite honestly.
No, I mean, no, when you're saying this, I'm just trying to, I'm getting these ideas that came into my head, which I've seen and I haven't really thought twice about. Like, for example, in a team environment, when we plan where the psychologist's room is set, we plan it so that it is away from the rest of the team. We
Lovely.
plan it in such a way that, okay, nobody else should know which player is going for consultation, but why?
Why?
That's not something that I've even thought about. Now when you're bringing it back, I'm like, that's interesting. So what do you think we can do to fix this though? How do you think, I mean, because I know it's still a long way. We've come some way into it.
Like I
but
said,
yeah.
we are a sport that believes in heroes.
Yes,
All right? Heroes fall.
yes.
If that can come out as the story, when they are falling during their down times, maybe it's very difficult because everybody seems to come back up and then say
Talk
that
about it.
I did this, I wasn't up for it, I went through this. Now you're seeing so many sports people taking time off
Yeah.
or completely going away from the sport because of their limitations that they feel. Correct?
Yeah.
That is coming out in the open. Earlier, maybe the same things were said as hamstring pull.
They'll give a,
Or a back
physical
spasm.
excuse.
I
Yeah.
think today we are definitely opening it a lot more than we did even 3 years back. I think with regard to mental health, a generation can be 3 years.
Makes sense, absolutely.
I think in 3 years' time, you will find more people talking about it more openly, coming out, confessing, feeling better about it, getting healed, and moving on to the next phase of their life, which is going out on the field and performing, getting their numbers and stats going. End of the day, every sports person wants to win, yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's not take that away. You can talk about any amount of hours about the process, about enjoying. End of the day, you're a sports person, you're there to compete, you want to win.
Absolutely.
You cannot say that cannot be the primary motive. That has to be the primary
It
motive.
always is.
But if that is the primary motive, what are the things that you are doing to support that primary motive? I want to be the first in class. That is not taboo. That's excellent. Great. Well done, man.
Yes.
Nalla bidding hai.
Of course.
But if I were to say I have to win.
At any cost.
At any cost.
Exactly.
What is my support system?
Makes sense.
So my mental side can suffer, but I have to win. My fitness will suffer, but I have to win. Impossible.
Makes sense. And something else that is actually, I see being whispered, it's not, I don't even know if it's being openly spoken about yet, is the amount of limelight that's being thrown on a sport like cricket.
Okay.
It's, I think in the last 10 years, we've seen that doubling, tripling, and for women's cricket, it's maybe in the last 5 years, it's become a lot. How much do you think that camera light has started causing these mental health issues? Has that added to the pressure?
I think initially, yes. Now they are voluntarily doing it.
They like the attention.
The attention.
Yeah.
Attention people love, yeah.
That is true. I mean, like, with all the Instagram comments and Twitter
See the ads.
feedbacks and the ads, exactly.
And if I can take names, I think Dhoni has a brilliant career in acting. Rohit Sharma can become even.
I think this life is showing us that a lot.
I'm
Yes.
not joking. Every time I look at Rohit Sharma, especially Sharma ji ka beta, the way he acts, I never knew a cricketer could be so comfortable. Even Kapil Dev sir is getting comfortable. Sunil Gavaskar, very comfortable.
Absolutely.
So I don't think anybody is shy. I don't think this is the cause. It is used as an excuse when they don't perform.
Makes sense.
It is not the cause. It is a voluntary thing. We all need as human beings acknowledgement.
Absolutely.
And limelight is acknowledgement.
Makes sense.
Then why not? I don't think that's the cause, but that is used as an excuse in their lack of performance. What it probably does is, it's creating a competition of a different kind. And that can cause the mental problems, issues.
I think the competition is getting taken away from the sport itself.
Exactly. I have these many people who have liked it, followed me. How many do you have?
Makes sense.
I think that, I'm just thinking out loud, can be a problem. There is so much jealousy that goes on that front, even at smaller levels that I'm seeing. And you don't know when it will hit the wrong nerve, right?
A lot of does. And a random comment, you don't know, it could be about something else entirely, but you don't know how it's perceived and what it's twisted
From your
into.
friend. From
Yeah.
a friend, when it comes, it hurts even
a
more.
lot. Yeah. So, yeah, that is definitely something to think about. I think that is something for everyone to think about, because right now with kids being so much into social media, and that is shaping the way they think and perceive things. Are they really, kids who are getting into sport, are they really getting into it for the sport or for the limelight?
Who knows?
You know?
Not ask them.
So, exactly. So all of those are things that I think I want to leave the viewers, thinking about. And deviating a little bit, MDT approach. That's exactly what we all are about. Multidisciplinary team. Multidisciplinary team approach, wherein what we are trying to build here is, we understand that a player requires fitness, nutrition, psychology, little bit of medicine, all of this put together, physiotherapy, of course, without a denial. But how can we bring it all together to benefit them the most? So we are seeing this being implemented in pockets here and there. So I want to ask you, between when you started and now, what difference have you seen from a sports science perspective, and how has it helped your athletes?
Awareness, for sure. For example, awareness not only from the athlete side, from even the coach's side or the parent side a little bit. Where when there is a certain limiting factor, let us say it's a physical injury, that's a limiting factor. Maybe 15 years back our coach said, "Poda valadra." Today it's not like that.
Correct.
Okay? Today it's like, what did you do that's causing this? It comes from the coach. The player themselves are able to go and tell the coach, "I don't think I want to push myself
Which is
today."
a long way. Yeah.
I think there are players who, if you create that environment, Harini, honestly, if you as a coach can create the environment where the player can come and tell you, "I don't think I'm up to it," is enough for you to understand, especially if you know it's coming from a player who loves the sport, who wouldn't take a day off kind of a person, comes and says, "I'm not up for it." Then the first question is, are you tired, is a great way to start. The tiredness could come from so many factors,
Yes.
correct? It's not just physical. Now, when I ask this question, the player now feels comfortable enough to say, "I don't think it's tiredness, I think I have some pain." Let us just say. And then if I say, "All right, today you can take your time off, just observe, or if you want to go, go," without him or her worrying that tomorrow will my opportunity come down.
Exactly.
I think somewhere coaches are coming there. Players still need to just, maybe they're not sure how to create that environment. They know this is a question that they need to ask, but a little more environment creation will help, and giving the player the confidence that this is just a one-off thing. That one-off, or there's no time frame to it, but it's one-off.
Makes sense. And parents, how much do you think they are aware?
Maybe not as much as they can be. Educated in terms of their child's needs is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Then they are aware. I'm not talking about education in terms of a degree or anything,
Absolutely.
educational qualification, the money that they make. But if they are educated in terms of what their awareness in terms of their child's needs, requirements, about whether your child is sleeping well, is responding well to, going every day. They are the one taking the initiative, making those small observations.
Absolutely.
I think parents who are aware of that are in for it.
And I mean, talking about handling during injury is one thing, but prehab, now that is another aspect that we need to look at. So, preparing for the game itself, where do you think the awareness lies on that?
Very poor. Very poor. Only after you're injured badly, the physio comes to you, and at a higher level.
Yes.
Nothing at the grassroots level. When I say grassroots, even if I'm saying a local under 14, under 15 tournament, participation level players, if they get injured, they take some time off, and then prehab is not something that they do with sincerity. See, all of this is integrity part comes in. They have to do it irrespective. So if I am there in a state environment with my physio watching me, with the trainer watching me, I do it. And I don't do it when I go back home, then you don't have integrity.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Yeah.
So that is something we need to get players to build, because say an under 16 state player already plays for the state, there is a prehab routine he or she has. They come to their own academy. They sit and do it. What is the first thing you think the others are going to say?
Like, what's your skill?
That's what you think. They are going to say, see what all he or she is doing. With Tevia.
Correct.
They start
Correct.
mocking, maybe.
Correct.
Lack of awareness. The minute they do that, that kid says,
இது பண்ணணுமா?
சரி பார்த்துக்கலாம்.
Makes sense.
Gone. All your work gone.
Makes sense.
So you have to ensure that if that is the environment that is there, that they do it at home and go. When they go there, they are not affected by what is being said. See, there are so many dynamics that we don't think of. We see it and we hope and think that the player, he or she will do it, without wondering, can they do it? Are they allowed to do it in so many different ways? The allowed does not necessarily mean parents or coaches. Could there be something stopping them?
Exactly.
I mean, I've heard all these comments. Until you have to actually intervene and say, listen, that's his or her
pace and
routine.
his, yeah.
Leave him. You want to do something, you do it. If you don't want to get injured, you're also supposed to be doing all this.
Exactly.
Hit it where it hurts them sometimes.
Yes. Like, I mean, it's just a wonder how you'd see people who are within the same realm make such kinds of comments. Maybe it's intentional, maybe it's not.
It may not, but
Exactly.
then, like we just spoke, we never know what
What
you
the
are
person
going
is
to thinking at that point, what it will
Exactly.
lead to. Same day, my friend can say, Poda, and go off.
Yeah.
Next time, I'm pissed off with somebody else, says the same thing. I'll say, what do you think of yourself?
Huh.
So that's exactly what will happen with players as well.
And another perspective, I know you've worked a bit with blind cricket as well.
Yeah.
So how much of this is permeating into that zone?
I wish I can do more for them. I'm being very honest. I'm not able to, because they're all far and wide, and other than seeking financial help, I want to be able to do something, because every time I want to help them financially, I too have to go out, and it's very difficult to convince people other than friends to do it.
Makes sense.
Okay, but the funny part is, they are way more confident than people who have no disability.
That's beautiful. I'm getting goosebumps here.
I'm
like that.
not
That's
joking.
Wow.
The way they support each other. So there was an interview that I was taking the first time when I met Tamil Nadu women blind cricketers, and they're like, "Hey, nee pesu, idha nalla pannuva, ella pesu."
Wow.
That's such a lovely line.
Yeah.
Correct? And for one guy who played for India, there were 20 people who came to play with alongside him.
That's lovely. I mean, that's just beautiful to see that camaraderie.
They are
and,
way
you
more
know,
confident.
Yeah.
Because what limited them, they've overcome to other ways. The sport is just another thing they need to overcome. Whereas with all our abilities intact,
we let our mind disable us, I swear. Yeah, wow, that's That's a very nice thing to
That
know.
is how
to
I
come
felt.
Together.
That's how I felt. Maybe I've got it all wrong. But that was the feeling that I got. You know, the way that they spoke with each other, not too many harsh words. It was banter. And I think it leaves you wondering, what have you actually achieved by complaining for every single thing that you've got as well?
I swear. No, I mean, like, I'm actually a little at a loss of words just hearing to all of this. It's actually very beautiful. Like I've told you, I've wanted to work in that environment for a long time, and I think if there's any way that people can come together to support blind cricket, I mean, people who are watching this, listening to this, if you want to come together to support blind cricket, I think
We
do
should.
Yeah, and so before we close for the day, my last question, and a very simple, direct question, is if there's something that you're going to tell to somebody who's starting cricket right now, at whatever age, just one line.
I'm no one to advise. That's all I'll say. Go out there, have a good time, enjoy yourself, and make sure that when you compete in the right frame of mind with the intention of you doing well, never thinking what the other person does. I keep telling my players that you wish well for yourself and for others. 100 people will do the same for you. So enjoy another person's victories and achievements as you would enjoy yours, is all I say.
Lovely. That's actually a very, very fruitful, very important message that you've just given. So thank you so much for taking
Pleasure.
time out of your schedule and coming on our podcast. It means a lot.
Oh, it was a fantastic experience. Thanks.
Thank you.